Right now, we had a stand for VLSA. We had a stand and 4 gorgeous models. That was our force to represent VLSA, to get at the attention of our attendees. And besides us, a bit further down, or further closer, there was one of the main Welsh networking groups. And instead of 4 girls, they took 1 cannon. And this cannon was called Michael Armstrong. Thank you, Mike.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? You okay? Yeah, good. You was all in a bit of a slumber a minute ago when Helmut opened the door, but obviously the coffee has worked and everyone's a bit alert now. But I got some tricks to get people a bit alert and to get them awake anyway, and we might as well carry on doing them, because even if you've had your coffee, it's nice to still, get awake. So before I go into that, I do apologise, I do speak fast, okay? So if anyone's struggling to hear me, put your hand up and I'll try and slow it down, okay? I also speak Wenglish. I don't speak English, I speak Wenglish, which is Welsh English. So I'll try and get a bit slower as I go, okay? So before I tell you a little bit about me and on my experiences, what I wanted to do is show someone. I do quite a lot of social media marketing, I do a lot of networking, okay? And obviously LinkedIn is a very good tool to use for that, as Helmut mentioned earlier. It's very good for you to have a good profile on LinkedIn, so make sure you update your profiles regularly with what's going on in your business. But I wanted, by way of, I was going to say hands, but actually by way of stands. How many people are on LinkedIn at the moment? Can you stand if you're on LinkedIn? Okay, good. See, that's a way of waking you up. You're already alert anyway. Okay. Right, sit back down. Okay, so well done. Everyone's pretty much on LinkedIn. If you're in business and you're not on LinkedIn, then you really should really consider what you're doing in business, because business is about winning new customers, and LinkedIn is a great tool for people to network and to show off what you do and to communicate with other people. So if you know somebody who's in business and they're not on LinkedIn, then tell them to get on LinkedIn. It's just basically, it's the social media for business. So you have to be on it, okay? So if you're all on LinkedIn, do what you do by way of hands, actually, rather than stands, because you're all alert anyway. By way of hands, how many actually use LinkedIn on their phone? Okay, less, or half. So maybe not, yeah. So LinkedIn on the phone is obviously a better tool than LinkedIn on a laptop, because statistically you use your phone more than you do your laptop. And actually, when you're networking and meeting people, you're usually out and about, which means you're nearly always using your phone more than your laptop. So if you've got a phone with LinkedIn on, can you get it out and wave it at me a bit? Okay. Right, if you've not got LinkedIn on your phone and you want to, go to the App Store or the Samsung Store, type in LinkedIn, download it, put your email address in and your password, and then you can get involved as well. Why wait until later, something that you can do right now? And so just download the app, and at least you'll have it then, yeah, for future. So those that have it, if you open up the app and you have a look at the 2 people at the bottom of the app, there's 2 people, which is a symbol for connections. If you click on the connections tab, at the top of the page you should see there's a little button that says find nearby off. Yeah. If you switch that to on and make sure your Bluetooth's active, it'll actually come up with your Bluetooth activation if it's not active. If you press that on, this does take a bit of time, which is why I wanted to start with this, because if it drags on a bit I can go into something else and come back to it. But what happens is then through Bluetooth, through the LinkedIn app, people start appearing on your phone, and you can basically just press connect and connect with all those people. So whenever you go into networking events, if somebody at the beginning of the event encourages everybody to switch on their Bluetooth to get onto their LinkedIn.
Where need to find it?
So Dace till Tina's just come up. There's a list, two little people icons at the bottom of the page. You click on that, and then at the top of the page it says find nearby, and you just press activate, yeah? That comes up then with your signal, so I can just connect with Dace. Is it Dace? Dace? Yes? Dace?
Yeah.
And I've just connected with you there. Now I've actually got two phones. A little bit of a tip with, if you do a lot of activity on your phone, like I do a lot of social media, I do a lot of blogging. If you're in business and you do a lot of sales, you do a lot of networking. Actually, before we go into that, by way of hands, who's involved in sales and marketing in their business? By way of hands? So about four of you involved in sales and marketing. By way of show of hands, how many people are in business looking for new customers? Still the same four people? No one else cares about customers in business?
Are you looking for new customers?
Is anyone in business looking for new customers? Yeah?
All good?
Because if I ask people who's in sales, you get a small percentage of the room. And then if I ask people who's looking for new customers, usually it's everybody. So that means everybody's in sales. So some people don't want to own up that they're in sales because they think, oh, I'm a director, or I'm a business owner, or I do events, or I do whatever I do, accounts, admin, whatever. Everybody in this room is in sales, okay? Everybody in employment is in sales, even if they don't do sales. Because you have to sell yourself to get a job, you have to sell yourself to get promotion, you have to sell yourself constantly. Anyone here got a partner? Anyone goes on dates? Hands up if you go on dates or got a partner, yeah? Did you not have to sell yourself at some point to close that deal? Yeah? So everybody's in sales, it's just some people will own up to it and some people will not, okay? But everybody is out there to meet new people, meet new connections, get new clients, get new connections, and LinkedIn's a great tool for doing that. So I've got a few here that started popping up now. Jolanta? Yeah, you popped up, yeah, hi. One of my phones, so back onto the phones, okay? If you're out and about a lot, then especially if you use Apple and you do a lot of social media or you do a lot of communication on your phone, and basically your phone dies very, very quickly, yeah? Everyone experienced that? So I used to walk around with a plug and a charger constantly and have to sort of put it in, yeah? Everyone sort of agree with that, yeah? So I find it much easier just to have another phone, yeah? And then when I use my phone, which has got my calling on and my number on, not very often, and I use my phone that has just got data or Wi-Fi on for doing all my work on, so social media and posting and that sort of thing. And that way then, the phone that you want to ring people on keeps the charge much longer. So it's a very good efficiency tool, plus you get double the size of memory capacity, which means you can keep more pictures, more videos, all of the lovely content that you should be marketing to the world about your business. You've got twice the capacity to do that. So that's a little tip on phones. Okay. One of my phones, for some reason, the Bluetooth's not working or something. So if any of you see something pop up, that's not Mike Armstrong. That's my other LinkedIn account. I'm on LinkedIn as both Mike Armstrong and Michael Armstrong, so that people can find me, whichever one they're searching for, because my actual Christian name is Michael, but everyone calls me Mike, including myself, because it's more efficient. Mike is shorter than Michael, and it gets done quicker, it's easier to type. And I come from a corporate background world where efficiency is everything. The more you can get done in less time, the more time you have to get more done. So, you know, that's quite a key principle of something that I believe in. So one of my accounts is called Mark E. Ting. So I'm on LinkedIn as a name called Mark, and then E, and then Ting. Okay, marketing. Okay, marketing is short for. I'm a strategist and I try things, and so I tried LinkedIn as a brand rather than as a person. Okay, because my strategy, my hypothesis was if you try and connect with people and they don't know you, they'll say, I don't know you on LinkedIn, and then you can get into trouble for trying to connect people you don't know, because although LinkedIn is a great networking tool, it's actually quite restrictive, okay? So you're supposed to connect with people you know, or connections of people you know. So that's why it's good to connect with as many people as possible, because then they can introduce you to new people, okay? But I had a brainwave that if I was a brand, then people couldn't say I don't know you, because I'm a brand. They're not supposed to know me. I'm a brand. I'm just, So I actually created an online marketing brand about 6 years ago called Welsh Biz, because I'm a Welsh business and I provide products and services to Welsh businesses. So I thought Welsh businesses who are interested in products and services from Welsh businesses are going to be interested in the name Welsh Biz. So I created an online marketing brand. I put my Welsh flag, Land of the Dragons. The dragon flag always attracts attention. And I put the Welsh flag as my image. I called it Welsh Biz, and within about a year I had 5,000 connections of senior business owners in Wales who wanted to connect with the brand. Okay, there's a bit of an idea in there, because you're a Latvian business that wants to connect with Latvian business community, so technically you could do the same thing, and it's a great way of showcasing that you're a Latvian business and you're open for Latvian connections, etc. After about a year, I was told that I can't be a business as a LinkedIn account. I got to be a person, and I already was on there as Mike Armstrong and Michael Armstrong, two accounts which I used for two different purposes actually. One which I used when I was a corporate sales director, and one which I use for networking locally. So one's got sort of SME contacts on from, so SME, small to medium-sized enterprise contacts from Wales that I met networking. And the other one, which I used for sort of 10 years as a corporate sales director, have got 10 million plus turnover businesses on there, the finance directors from those businesses. So completely different people, completely different markets. So I use the two different accounts for different purposes. And if you've got multiple businesses or multiple markets, then you could do the same thing as well. So it's just about strategizing, working out why you need to have multiple accounts or whatever, and implementing those systems. Okay, so I was left with a dilemma though. I already had Mike Armstrong and I had Michael Armstrong, and I had 5,000 contacts on an account called First Name Welsh, Surname Biz. Okay, and I had to set up a personal account for that to go on to. So I just called myself Marky Ting, because my Welsh Biz account was my marketing account. Okay. Also, there's something else in that. So when you're marketing as yourself, British culture, I've been told Latvian culture is the same, teaches you to be a bit polite. We're a bit polite people. We don't want to invade in other people's spaces, in other people's territories, etc. So when you're yourself, you're not going to sort of push the limits. You're not going to go and try too hard or mention too much, because you're like, oh, somebody might see me, somebody might think you're trying too hard, you're pushing too hard, you're being a bit invasive, yeah? When you're a brand and you're something that people don't recognise, then that's not you. It's a bit like going to a party with a mask on. You know what I mean? People do that, and they do more provocative things than they would do without the mask on, because they can, because they feel safe in their cloak or in their mask. It's the same as why people psychologically are willing to go harder and nastier online, because they're behind the mask of a ghost or a symbol, and it's not always them, which is why the culture of keyboard warriors and keyboard nutters and stuff exists, because people are willing to hide behind the mask. But from a branding point of view, so if you market as your brand rather than as you, then companies can market more than individuals, because there could be multiple people behind that account marketing for that company. So for example, nobody turns around and says, well, Coca-Cola markets too much. Coca-Cola spends 90% of its turnover on marketing, and it's like one of the biggest brands in the world. Nobody says, oh, they market too much. Nobody sort of says, well, you're doing too much marketing, you're spamming me, or you're over the top. They don't say that, they just buy the Coke. So, marketing is about, it's not about being polite, it's not about not wanting to cross the line, so therefore not really doing as much as you can. Marketing is about doing as much as you can to get towards the line or even over the line. Marketing and business is about getting out there with your message and reaching as many people as you can. And you can't do that whilst being polite and thinking, well, I shouldn't really say that, or I might be invading somebody's space or somebody's time, or I don't really want to upset them. You can't do that and let everybody find you and know about you at the same time. They're conflicting things, so you have to choose. Do I want to be polite and not get towards the line, or actually do I want to get some results and go over the line? So that's some key things to think about. Was that a useful tool for people, the LinkedIn? Yes, people find that useful.
How many connections did you get?
I had about 4 or 5, I think.
4 or 5?
My marketing account didn't pop up, so if you do see marketing pop out anyway, that's me again. I get lots of emails saying, Mark, I'd like to meet you. I said, Mark don't exist, but yes, no problem. So I met Helmut at the business show in London, and I was asked to come and have a chat with you about the do's and don'ts of business, doing business in the UK. I spoke to Helmut about my experience. We were talking about a particular channel that Helmut doesn't use in his business that I thought he could implement and grow. It was a bit of a strategy, some experience I had in my previous role. And we connected. I told him a little bit about my history. I've been and done quite a lot in my short space of time. And Helmut thought it would be good to share some of that experience with you guys. So what I always say when you're learning something is it's important to learn off people who have been there and done that, because there's a lot of people in the world who can talk. They can talk the talk, they can read the books, they can think in hypotheses, and they can come up with ideas. But there's much less of those people who can actually walk, who can walk the walk, who can actually get the ideas done, okay? And so when you're listening to people and you're listening to advice, I always think it's important to sort of listen to, where this advice is coming from. Is it coming from a book, or is it coming from experience? Is this hypothesis, or is it fact? Okay, that's what I always think about. So don't listen to a word that I've got to say, because I might be talking rubbish. Okay, but if I can give you some information and give you some history about who I am and why I think how I do and what I've got to provide as information and experience, then that's up to you to decide whether you want to take that information in then or not. I've listened to a lot of entrepreneurs around the country talking top entrepreneurs, and the majority of them, I take a little bit of gold from them. Everyone has a little bit of gold to offer. But I don't listen to every word that they say, because what works for them might not work for me. What worked for them may not work for me. It's up to us as people to decide what we want to learn, what's going to benefit us, what's not going to benefit us, I've actually found more recently some people I take a lot of gold off. They are like gold mines for me, There are some people out there I listen to and I learn from that are providing constant value all the time. Not just little nuggets, but, big trucks of gold. And if you can find people that you can connect with, you understand, and you can learn from, then you can only improve as people. We can only improve as business people. We only improve as individuals if we're going to learn more. Okay, so I'm a lifelong learner. I believe in lifelong learning. I also teach as well. And I have an equation which I used to teach my sales guys when I used to be a corporate sales director, which I swear by. So it's the most simplest equation in the world, but it's fact. It is fact. And that is, the more you learn, the more you earn. It's a very simple equation, okay? But it basically means if you're willing to take on more information and more knowledge about your sector, about your industry, about your products, your services, your competition, if you're willing to take on that extra information that other people aren't willing to take on, then you're going to be able to use that in some way. So you use it to be a better salesperson, you use it to be a better teacher, educator, you use it to be a more knowledgeable key person of influence in your sector. You can use it for all sorts of purposes. So, I think it's important to constantly upskill, constantly teach yourself new things. One of the things I believe in as well is that you have to learn things your way. My way is practical. I like to, hear the hypothesis, think about how that's going to work for me, and then implement it, analyse it, and see whether it did work or not. Because a lot of people do a lot of things, they never measure it. And so they never know if it's actually worked for them or not. And they don't know then whether to do more of it or not, because they've implemented something, never measured it, never monitored it, didn't know whether to carry on with it or not. So that's something I like to do. I like to do something, measure it, sometimes benchmark it against something else and actually see whether it did work or not. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to go a little bit about my history and why I believe you should listen to me, but that's up to you to make the call, okay? So I'm only 41 years old. I know I don't look as old as that, but I'm only 41. But I've been selling for 30 years in the business, okay? I started at 11, okay? I used to sort of sell. The first thing I sold, or I remember selling, was illegal actually these days, okay?
You are on Facebook Live.
I had, that's okay, I don't mind. I've told lots of people this story, and if they want to chase me, they can chase me. It was illegal. I didn't know at the time, but I had Sky TV installed into my house, into my bedroom actually, for Christmas. It's one of the first people I knew to have it, okay? And there used to be 2 channels on there called the Movie Channel and Sky Movies. And I used to record the videos and sell them to the kids in school. Okay, so that's copyright infringement, you know. Sometimes when we start out in business, we're amateurs, we don't know the rules and we make some mistakes. C'est la vie. But that was my first sort of business venture that I remember doing. I also I understood the model of buying big, cutting up into small bits and selling those on for a profit. So I used to buy big boxes of matches from Hyper Value, which was a big discount store. I used to package them into smaller boxes and sell them to the smokers. Okay, so you know that's a very tried and tested model of how to make money in business, is by buying something in large amounts and selling it in smaller amounts at a higher price and giving yourself a margin. So I started doing that sort of 11 to 16, and as soon as I finished school, I was invited by an uncle of mine to join a company and do sales, door-to-door sales, the hardest type of sales there is, during my summer holidays in between school and college. So I worked for 6 weeks. I was a bit of a sort of supervisor. I used to have a little team of people I used to help. I was earning £250 a week, which £1,000 a month as a 16-year-old, not that long ago, but a while ago, was quite a lot of money, like, you know. And I thought, oh, you know, this is good. Ended up doing my A-levels. Because I liked the money and got used to the money in a 6-week period, I carried on working evenings and weekends. So I carried on working and earning about £250 a week whilst doing my A-levels. So I was earning, you know, what was back then, you know, not a bad wage, whilst working evenings and weekends. At the end of the first year, I decided I didn't want to go to university, even though I was predicted an A and 2B at A-levels. I decided, well, since 11, since discovering Richard Branson, and only ever really wanted to be my own boss, I thought, well, there's no point spending a load of money to go to university to teach me how to do that. I can make money selling and work my way up to doing that. So that's what I decided to do. So I upset my tutor, who was Mr. Vaughan, did my economics. I was second in the class at the end of the first year, and one of his sort of star pupils to go on and do well at economics. And I looked at which subject I could drop, and economics was the one that gave me a day and a half off a week free. So I could work evenings, weekends, and a day and a half a week. So I dropped economics, and I was earning about £350 a week by having that extra sort of day and a half. Decided I was going to go to university. Ended up not going to college the second year that much. Did my exams at the end of it just to you know, get something out of it. So it wasn't a waste of time. I ended up with a couple of D's. Never needed results in education ever since then, really. I've never needed them, but I had them, and that was fine. So then I did 5 years of door-to-door sales, which is, if you want to learn how to sell and how to be able to handle rejection and how to be able to build a thick skin and try door-to-door sales, it's a tough life. You have to sort of sell twice, really. Sell once for them to listen to you, and then sell the second time in the product or service that you've got. So it's a double sell. It's really, really hard. Did that for 5 years. I got headhunted a couple of times to go from one company to another, that sort of thing. When I was 21, I'd been supervising and running my own sort of door-to-door team from the age of 18 and training them on a day-to-day basis in objection handling and sales techniques. And at 21, I earned £40,000, which back then was probably the equivalent of about 80 grand now, about £80,000. I had a lot of fun spending that money. I was going out every night of the week because I was doing door-to-door sales, which meant the hours were 12 till 8 rather than sort of like 9 till 5 because we wanted to catch people in when they got home from work. So we used to be able to go out every night, get drunk, get up the next day and still do work fine. So that was good. It was a great life. I earned a lot of money. But I got fed up of working evenings and weekends because evenings and weekends are the time where we want to go and enjoy ourselves and not just work all of the time. So I did 5 years of working the evenings, the weekends and the days, and then I decided I'm going to go and get myself a career. This was just a sales job as far as I could see. I'd learned everything I could and I didn't feel I had much more progression there. So I thought I'd get myself a 9 till 5 business job, 9 till 5. So I tried 5 years of different sales jobs and I tried all sorts of things, least cost routing telecoms, and I did a bit of newspaper advertising, a bit of radio advertising, which is great for the career I'm in now. So I learned quite a lot about various different businesses. Spent 5 years trying to find somewhere which was Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, had a basic salary and a car, but also could give you the commissions that I used to earning doing door-to-door sales. It's quite hard to find that in the commercial world because they all pay you a basic but not very good bonuses. I stumbled into a credit reference agency. I worked for a company that just started out. I was one of 40 to 50 employees. They started with 40 as part of a WDA grant system. And I actually took a telesales job because I'd had a few points on my license and I needed to get off the road for a while because being a rep for 5 years, and it was all around the time that they started putting these fixed cameras everywhere, and before, if you're repping and you're driving around everywhere, you get ting doing 34 and a 30 or whatever. So I had a few of those and I thought, I'll give myself a breather, go and take a telesales job. So within 4 months of me starting, I was one of the 4 top sellers there, okay? And as one of the 4 top sellers, when they decided to form the corporate sales team, which it was just a telesales team selling to all businesses in the UK, they decided to set up a corporate team and make one of the 4 best sellers the top, first 4 founding members of the corporate team. So I was one of the 2 top sellers for the whole 10 years I was in this business. So I was asked to become a founding member and we had a manager. I did that job for 2 years, was one of the 2 top sellers for two years. I was also assistant manager to the team as well because I was always supervising or managing and always willing to take leadership roles. And after about 2 years, I thought my boss is in a secure job. I want to progress, I'll go and take a job on the floor because we'd split our prospects into under 10 million turnover businesses and over 10 million turnover businesses. A great way of splitting prospects. Under 10 million turnover businesses, there's a lot more of them in the UK, there's billions of them. In fact, 80-90% of businesses are one-man bands, they're small businesses. There's lots and lots of SME businesses, not so many corporates. I was dealing with the 10 million plus turnover businesses. So there was about 7 teams formed for doing telesales to the SMEs and just the 1 team doing the corporate sales, okay? So I said, I'll go and manage one of the teams on the floor doing the SME sales. So I managed the SME telesales for a couple of months and I did a good job, and so they decided to replace me with my old boss. So they put me in charge of the corporate team and put my old boss, who had been in charge of the corporate team for 2 years, to run an SME team. Okay, so that was that, and then from there, within 8 years, I grew that team from 7 people doing £300,000 to a department of 17 people doing 5.7 million. So quite big, rapid growth. Yeah, you can applaud that if you want to. It was I was proud of it, Thank you. So at the time, I thought that was just sales growth, okay? But I currently listen to a guy called Grant Cardone who teaches people how to think big in business and how to 10x their business, so how to grow their business by 10, okay? What I realised is that in my sales management to sales directorship role, I 20x'd the business. I grew a business by 20 times, okay? And one of the world's leading sales and marketing influencer, according to Forbes, and a billionaire, thinks that people should aim big and try to 10x the business, and I already 20x'd one, so I thought, well, there we are, then. That's pretty good going. So that was my sort of corporate experience. I got promoted 9 times in 6 years, As well as being the manager of the telesales team, I turned that team into a field sales team, and then I employed telephone appointment setters and telesales people and some administrators and some field sales guys, and I run a department. That's how I sort of progressed over time. But at the same time as doing that, for 10 years, so for the 2 years I was one of the 2 top sellers, for the 8 years I was managing the corporate sales team, I also managed what's called a reseller affiliate channel. So basically a partnership channel for people who wanted to introduce our product to their customers or resell the product or wherever else. So I actually managed that simultaneously to being one of the 2 top sellers for 10 years and running the corporate sales team. So I did what is equivalent of 3 full-time jobs, and I did them all well. Okay, so that's where my experience sort of comes from, and that's why I'm a sales and marketing consultant, and that's why I feel I've got some knowledge and some information to share to people, because I've done a lot of things that I don't know other people have done, and so therefore it's got to be unique. There's got to be some unique knowledge or some unique experience from that, and that's what I'm looking to share today. So I actually gave up my corporate career about 7 years ago, and I went into the crazy world of self-employment. I did it during a recession and with 3 young children. Why? Because I'd set myself a goal to do it by 30 and I was 35, and there was no way I was going to miss the goal by more than 5 years. And the only reason I missed it by 5 years, I'm very goal orientated, I've been in sales all my life. The only reason I allowed myself to miss the 30-year-old goal by 5 years is because I had a wife that I had to negotiate with as well. I had young children, and there was a global recession going on, a credit crunch. So I thought, you know what, I can stretch it a bit, but I hit 35 and I said, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And that's what business people across the land, up and down the country, they have to make that moment at some point. They have to do it, or they'll never do it. Okay, so I've been doing it for 7 years. I used to cover the whole of the UK with my corporate sales job, but I decided I didn't want to do so much travelling in my early days. So I thought I'll just go networking locally and see how it goes from there. I joined a network which is happens to be Wales's biggest business network, and currently I'm their best networker. So I won an inaugural prize at their event last year. So out of 350 members, they decided to do a Networker of the Year prize, and I won that prize. So out of 350 members in Wales, of Wales's biggest business network and the best, I'm currently the best networker of that network. So therefore, I continued with some of the successes I had in my career. I've continued to them into my self-employment. Also, in the same award show last year, clients of mine who just launched at Wales's biggest business expo, which the business network I belong to also do. They do Wales's biggest business expo. I had new clients who launched at that event, and they won best marketing, and they won best medium stand at the show, and I did about a third of their stand, and I did all of their marketing. So I actually won 2 1/3 awards at their show, which is Wales's biggest business network and Wales's biggest business expo. So I think I've got some credibility there, you know, that's a group of my peers that says that I've done something well, you know. So so that's some knowledge I've got to share with you as well. In the last couple of years, I've also signed up to become a Business Wales mentor. So that's somebody who works for the government, and the government puts in to various businesses that have problems that need solving, that when you're in Wales, you can phone the government and say, I'm in business, I need help with this, that and the other, and they'll find a mentor for you. So I've been doing that for a couple of years. I was at the award show in January. I was nominated for a mentor prize there. I didn't win it, but I was sort of fairly new still. I'm just learning how to win it. I'm learning how to win it because I will win it. It's just a matter of time. It's interesting because I listen to Grant Cardone now. I didn't actually know who Grant Cardone was until a year ago. I was doing the business show in London with Paul and Tracy, who run Intrabiz, Wales's biggest business network. The same event I met Helmut at this year. I was doing that event last year, and the event was, I think, Tuesday to Thursday, something like that. And on the way back from the event, Paul from Intrabiz said, oh, we've got to go into Kensington to have a meeting with Grant Cardone. We're looking to try and get him to our business expo. So I ended up tagging along to a meeting with Mark Wright from The Apprentice and a few other serious business people, the guy who runs Hunter Jones Finance in the city in London. and there was a few people there, and we met Grant Cardone and his wife Elena, got on really, really well with them, and that meeting, after some negotiations and whatever else, and payments and different things, led to Grant Cardone speaking at Wales's biggest business show in November, along with Lord Sugar. And Wales's biggest business show attracts about 7,000 audience. London's biggest business show about 25,000. And we had better speakers in our show in Wales than they had in London. And you know, it's easier to get people to go to London than it is to go to Cardiff. So why was that? Well, that's the power of networking. That's the power of, you know. And ever since I met that Grant Cardone, I've been listening to him online, and he's like a mentor to me, really. He's like a free mentor because he's got a lot of content on there and you can listen to it and get whatever you want out of it. So I think it's important in business to have a mentor, to have somebody who you're learning from and developing new skills from, because, like I said before, you don't know what you don't know. So if you can, you know, listen to people who have been further and beyond where you have, then they're going to teach you some things that you don't know. You're going to find out some things that you don't know, because they're going to talk about things that you're like, oh, I don't know about that. I'll have to research that or learn it or understand it. Nearly all the skills I have, I've self-taught myself. I do SEO, I do social media, and I train SEO, I train social media, I do blogging. I've got 23 business blogs. I write content, I create videos, I create infographics. I use all sorts of apps on my phone for doing these things. And why do I do it? Because I'm either going to spend money for someone else to do it, or I can learn it myself. And like you were saying before, the Latvians like to walk a bit. Well, I like to spend my money on beer and partying and fun things. I don't want to spend it on video production and graphic designs and that sort of thing, if I can do it well myself. If I can't do it well myself, then I'll pay someone else to do it. But I'm lucky, I like learning, and I'm able to use technology, software and that sort of thing. And there's so much stuff out there now to make your life so easy that there's no excuse not to do it, really. I mentioned I do blogging. A lot of people I meet, they're like, oh, blogging, what's that? Every year I see articles about blogging's the next big thing. I've been blogging for 15 years, you know, but every year it's the next big thing because more and more people are getting tuned into blogging. The reason I tuned into blogging is because I started learning and understanding SEO, search engine optimization, how to get higher up the search engines so you get inquiries. And blogging is one of the best ways of doing that. Because if you have a blog on your website and you put regular content on there, then the search engines see you as a regular publisher of information rather than a static site, and they'll troll for your content more regularly, move you up the search engines, just having a blog on your site, but also because you're putting out rich content with different keywords and stuff, you start getting associated to much more keywords so people can find you with the various different types of searches they do. So blogging is a big thing for businesses to do. It's a big thing for me to do. When I go networking and I ask people, do they blog? They say, I don't have the time to blog. I don't have the time to blog. I say to them, how often do you blog? In my experience, nearly everybody who does blog has a website, and they'll either blog once a week or they'll blog once a month. And that's not enough to, in amongst all the content that's getting out there and put into the internet, it's not enough to, you know, put your hand up and be noticed. You have to do it more, and to become a regular publisher of information, you have to do it more. So then you get the challenges of, but what do I blog about? Okay, but if you get into it, like anything else, you find strategies and you'll find ways of, some people can post constantly on Facebook, or they can post constantly on LinkedIn, but they don't understand how to blog. Well, you can post all the content that you're posting on Facebook or on LinkedIn onto your blog, yeah? But you can actually set up your blog so it automatically sends the post then to LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. It's actually a more efficient way of putting out the content than just putting it on Facebook. So when people say to me they don't have the time to blog, I always say, I don't have the time not to blog. How would I be able to handle all my social media, and how would I be able to put all my content out if I wasn't doing it through blogging? So it's just how it's what's important to you as a business, and what you prioritise and what you decide is important to you is whether you've got time to do it or not. Something Grant Cardone believes in, and something I've listened to and believe in too, is so many people in business get wrapped up in stuff that's not really important for their business. It's not really something that is going to decide whether their business survives or not, you know. It could be administration tasks, menial tasks. doing HR stuff, health and safety, you know, all these sort of things. Your business is not going to thrive or die on whether you've got your yellow and black tape over the wire properly or not, you know. But what will make your business thrive, you know, other than if you get somebody trip over it and sue you, which could be a hindrance. But what does make a business thrive or die, if you're doing it well, you'll thrive, and if you're not doing it well, you'll die, is sales and marketing, you know. So like everyone refuses to commit to the fact that they're in sales, even though everybody's in sales, right? If you're doing sales and marketing 90% of your time, if that's 90% of your focus, you will thrive in business, you will make money, you will make more connections, make more contacts, and you'll grow as a business. 10% of your time can be spent on all that other stuff, the bottom of the line stuff, costs, you know, things that you can't avoid, you know, you've got to pay them, like, yeah. But so many businesses, they spend all their time worrying about saving money and reducing their spend and, you know, doing all sorts of administration tasks and all of that. They forget to concentrate on the stuff that's going to make their business win or lose, and that's the sales and the marketing. So if you're in business and you don't have an honest reflection on yourself, do you think you do enough sales and marketing in your business? Because in my experience, there'll be 90% of the people in this room don't do enough sales and marketing. So are you the 1 in 10 that does enough, or are you the 9 in 10 that don't do enough? Give yourself an honest reflection, because I can't tell that for you, but you'll know whether you do enough sales and marketing or not. 9 out of 10 businesses, I used to work for a credit reference agency. We used to collect business data. We used to collect all the companies that were formed, all of the companies that were dying, all this sort of thing. 9 out of 10 businesses, or 8.5, 9, fluctuates up and down, of businesses die within the first 5 years. They don't make it beyond 5 years old, yeah? Why is that? It's usually because of cash flow. And why is that? Because they're not getting enough customers in, and they're trying to manage the small amount of money in and make sure they're not paying him and trying to survive through the tough times, when ultimately they just went out and got more customers. They wouldn't really matter about whether you're paying him more time or not, or holding back or whatever, because you have so much abundance of cash, they haven't got to worry about the future. So the reason most businesses fail is because the business owner can't find a model of sales or marketing that's producing efficiently, cost effectively, enough clients to continue to grow in the business, to be able to maybe take on more staff or develop in IT or do all the things they need to do to grow their business. Because these are things that people concentrate on all their time. They put lots of time into, can we have the right IT system, can we have this, can we have that, can we have the other. But unless you've got enough customers to pay for it all, and unless you've got enough people bringing in new business, then all those things are unimportant, because you're not going to have them in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, when you're dead. You know, when you died as a business, you didn't need all those things. So that's some of the most important things I can teach people to do, is to make sure when you're new in business and when you're looking to grow in business, that you invest all your time and all your energy and all your resource in sales and marketing. Because that's what's going to get you to grow. The rest of it is just a waste of time, until once you're selling so much, then all those things become important then. But don't get wrapped up in new IT this and IT that and this, that, is, you know, anything that's not involved in sales and marketing. So that would be one of my big sort of do's of doing business in the UK. Another one would be to constantly look at how you can improve the efficiency of what you're doing. Okay. When I grew from 300,000 revenue to 5.7 million, which was a growth from 300,000 to 1.7 million new business revenue, and 4 million that had grown over the pot in reoccurring renewals and retentions, so getting up to 5.7 million. Once I did that, I lost my train of thought there now. What I realised is, in the first couple of years, of the same 7 people, I went from doing 300,000 to doing 680 to doing 960. So of the same 7 people over a 3-year period, I turned it from 300,000 to £1 million, just under, in revenues, of the same 7 people. Now, how can you do that? Because it's the same 7 people, but what you can learn to do in corporate and in life and in business and in the world in general is to become more efficient at what you're doing. The more you learn, the better you get at what you're doing, the more you can actually get out of the process. So efficiency is like technology and efficiency through technology is what I believe all businesses should learn, and all businesses should be able to implement in their business. If you can find, like the software earlier, if you can find a way of doing your accounts, that means you're only doing it for half an hour a month instead of 3 hours a month, then that's 2.5 more hours you've got to sell or to market, yeah? And it's the same with everything that you do. If you can find more efficient ways of doing everything that you do, then you've got more time to do the important stuff, which is the sales and the marketing and getting new customers in. Yeah. So that's the reason why I blog a lot, is because I had a lot of social media accounts, and to post on lots of social media accounts can take a lot of time. But to do one post on a WordPress blog that drives that post to all my social media automatically, that could take 5 minutes instead of half an hour. If I'm doing 4 posts a day, then that's like hour and a half of saved time. Yeah. So these are the things that you should be doing. They're the things you should be getting your staff to do. Because if I can get £1 million off 7 people that were only doing 300,000, then can you get £1 million off 7 people that are only currently doing 300,000? And if you can, how do you do that? What can I do? How can I save time? Where can I save time? Where can I improve the efficiencies so that I can and they can get more out of their day? From a bringing new customers in point of view, from the main point of view of a business, bringing new customers, making money. Okay, so that's another sort of do's of doing business, is make sure that you're doing it efficiently. Okay, I'm going to cover a do and a don't together of doing business in the UK now as well. So you hear in a lot of places that telesales is dead. Telesales is dead. But I was part of a company that grew very rapidly using telesales. So my thought process is, well, how can it be dead if I've seen a company grow rapidly using it? It can't be dead, you know. That's the fact, it's evidence, you know. So the people who say telesales are dead, well, that basically means is they can't be bothered doing telesales anymore, or they can't make it work for them. So it's dead to them. Okay. So that's a massive misconception, I believe, runs through the industry, through business, that you can't do telesales. If you are trying to target businesses all around the UK, then it's much more efficient to do that over the phone than it is face-to-face. Yeah? It's much easier to ring someone in Scotland than it is to travel there and drive there, you know. It all depends what you're selling. So when I used to sell a product, we had the SME team, the corporate team. The SME sold a product for £450 up to about £1,000 it went. We sold that same product from about £900 up to about £100,000. Okay, so the people who were selling it from £450 to £1,000, they never went to see anybody ever. They just sold through telesales. We had an online product. We showed them the product. We sent them a quote. We closed them. Done. In my department, what we used to do is we used to ring everybody, show them the online product, talk through their usage, find out if they were going to be relatively small or relatively big. If they were small, up to £3,000, we wouldn't go and see them. We'd just send them a quote, close them over the phone. If the usage and the volume was greater than £3,000, then I implemented this process, that we would go and see them. So at the time where I put that limit at 3,000, we were averagely selling, as a corporate sales team, about £1,500 of product. And when I started implementing change and started to go and see the customers, that average for the ones we went to see versus the one we sold to over the phone went up to £7,500. It's quite a big jump, yeah? From 1,500 to 7,500. Why is that? Well, when you ring somebody, you get them for half an hour of the time, max. You get them to talk a little bit about their business, and they don't really want to divulge too much. Plus, they've only spoke to you on the phone. They haven't seen the whites of your eyes. They haven't shook your hands. They don't really trust you. They might just like your product, your offer, whatever. Yeah? If you go and see people, and you travel with them, you'll spend time with them, they'll give you an hour in London. They'll give you an hour and a half, 2 hours, the rest of the UK generally. If you go and spend time with people, and you see the whites in their eyes, you shake hands with them, you have more time to put across your passion, your energy, your drive in your product, the features, the benefits, overcome their objections, deal with their IT department or whoever else is involved in the buying process, well then people are going to spend more money after that process has happened than they would do over the phone. So, you know, there's definitely a place for telesales. It all depends on what product you're selling, what price you're selling, you know, who you're selling to, etc., etc. So, sorry, there's one thing I wanted to do before I go into that, which was I wanted to pass my cards around. Because not everybody gets a chance to speak to everybody at events like this, but I've spent the time to come up with something to talk about so I can get my cards around. So the averages can go up a lot if you go and see people. Now, I actually used to sell business financial information, credit checking information, to the resellers, the wholesale buyers, as well as to the big volume users. And a lot of those products were delivered through IT, through IT technical solutions. So we used to go to 10 million plus turnover businesses, people who've been doing things the way they've always done for a long time, and we used to sort of try and get them to do things differently. And a lot of the way of doing that was by showing them that technology was more cost effective than bums on seats. So if they bought our technology and implemented a technical solution way of credit checking their customers or keeping up to date with the ones that were at risk or whatever, then they wouldn't have to have so many credit controllers, they wouldn't have to have so many bums on seats. So if you give someone a compelling reason why your product, your service, your solution is better than what they've got at the moment, and you can show that it's going to be more cost effective as well, then you're going to get a lot of interest, aren't you? So that's what we were doing. So what I learned probably mid-20s was not to sell people stuff. Because, like, nobody wants what you're selling. What I used to do, and what I do currently to the date, is find out what people want to buy. So that's called solution selling. It's not trying to sell something they don't want or something they don't need. It's trying to find where people are at in life, in business, trying to find out what it is they're looking for, and trying to adapt your product range to be the answer to what they're looking for. And if you can do that, then you're going to provide a lot more solution sales than you are just trying to sell someone something they don't need. So that's quite an important thing, is to understand what problem, the thing that you have to offer to somebody, what problem it's solving and how it's solving it. And so it's important to understand your customers and your clients and what they need and what they want and what they're looking for, and how your product actually really ends up benefiting them. And if you can understand that in business, then you've got yourself a product that's going to sell. So I was speaking to, what was your name again? Andre, yeah. And he's doing a bit of telesales, a bit of calling at the moment, and like most people in the world, they don't like doing it that much, like really. So like if I say this, yeah, it's not an unknown secret, I think. Most people don't like doing telesales. But this is the key thing. Again, people don't like intruding on other people's space. It's a Britishness thing, it's a Latvian thing, because it sounds like you have a similar mentality. So people don't like invading on other people's spaces. But as I was saying to Andreas, if you've got something that can help somebody or improve them, improve their life, improve their business, then are you intruding on their space, or are you helping them, assisting them in life, yeah? Because I believe you're helping them. If I got something that I can help somebody, then why should you be worried about picking up the phone and phoning somebody or speaking to somebody who you can help? Because most people want help. You know, if I could help anyone, or if anyone can help me, why would I not do it? Or, you know, why not? Like, you know, it doesn't make no sense. If somebody can help me, I'll take it. If I can help someone, they'll take it. Yeah. So the reason a lot of people don't like intruding on other people's space, because they don't really believe in what they're doing. They don't believe that they're helping somebody. They think that they're invading their space. So what I would say is, if you're in that space, in business or in life, then what you should really be doing is getting out of that into something you do believe in. Something that is going to actually improve people's lives and benefit them, because then you won't have no worry about telling people. I think Andreas does a great product, and I don't think it's the lack of the product or the belief in the product. That it's just a cultural thing of bringing people and invading people, etc. But a lot of people like to meet people face to face more than they do ringing people. But one of the reasons why I'm a good networker and won an award networking is because networking is all about meeting people and then following up with those people. That following up with those people means either you've got to be a good emailer, you've got to be a good LinkedIn, or you've got to be a good telephoner, because you ain't going to be following up with nobody unless you do one of those three things. So it's important to have telesales skills, even if you do field sales. It's important to have telesales skills, even if you do HR. It's important to have telesales skills, whatever you do. I actually teach social media marketing and training. I teach Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and blogging and all these things. I'm actually thinking about starting to teach telesales, field sales, handshakes, meetings, and this sort of thing, because it's important for you guys to remember to speak to people on the phone and to follow up with meetings and to go and visit people. But it's actually more important for the next generation to realise and to learn these skills, because what I've realised is that they can't communicate with anybody. They can't communicate with their own brothers and sisters in the house without doing it via a phone or a mobile device. So that's something which I'm going to be looking to do more, and it's something you guys should encourage with your younger staff and your kids and whatever, is that sometimes, like Sky have just started doing now, switch the button off to get the kids down for tea because the Wi-Fi's off, but sometimes you've got to switch the Wi-Fi off and get people to communicate with each other, because without communication skills, they're going to be selling at an average of 1,500 instead of 7,500. Yeah, taking my own industry into consideration. So do the kids want to get by on 1,500 and the commission they make on that, or do they want to get an average up to 7,500 by learning how to communicate with people, how to build trust and relationship with people, and how to shake hands on a deal and get bigger contracts because of the trust they built up, you know? So that's important. It's something I'm going to be probably adding to my repertoire of teaching soon, but it's something that we all as a older community have to take some responsibility on and to do ourselves, because there's no point everybody only being able to text chat each other in the future. You know, there's going to be a whole sector of the world imploding, really, and things are going to be really dire if we can't teach our kids and the youth of today some communication skills. So that's a do, is to don't write off telesales and to try it, and to, even if it's a small level, you don't want a telesales team, use those skills yourself, keep them honed, use them yourself for following up with the people you meet here today, the people you meet anywhere. Phone people up, so use telesales skills. The thing what I would say is a don't in British business is don't do telesales skills badly. Don't do telesales badly, because if you get it wrong and you've got a load of people who don't care about the product, they don't know how to solve solutions, and they're just phoning off a script, and they're unpassionate about what they're doing and that, then you will get a bad brand, you'll get a bad reputation, and you'll be making big mistakes. And even worse is roll it out somewhere where they don't understand the culture of the country they're calling, they don't understand the language, and then they make an even bigger mess of it. So that's what I would say with telesales. So do telesales, but do it right, don't get it wrong. Okay? So we've got making sure that we're being efficient. We've got making sure that we're spending as much of our time on sales and marketing as possible. We've got making sure that we're using technology to be efficient as well. We've got doing telesales, but doing it right, not getting it wrong. The other thing with field sales, going to see people, if you're looking to grow your business outside of London, outside of the Latvian community, etc., then you've got to be adaptable, really, you know, because different people have got different cultures, different ways of doing things, that sort of thing. A lot of people always say to me, what are the best strengths of a salesperson? And most people will say either drive, ambition, negotiation skills, gift of the gab, being able to talk, all those things which good salespeople tend to have. But I actually think the skill set of a good salesperson is adaptability. Being able to adapt to your business, being able to adapt to your products and services, adapt to your markets, adapt to your audience, adapt to your customers. If you can adapt, there's an old saying in sales saying people buy people. You know, people buy people. People buy off people they like, people who are like them, have common interest, commonality. But if you're like 10% of the marketplace and you be yourself, then 10% of the people you meet will buy from you and the other 90% won't. But if you can adapt yourself to different people, then you might be able to be the person that somebody likes to buy off in 50% of the time rather than 10% of the time, which means you're going to have better KPIs, better performance indicators, better conversion rates, better higher average order values. So I think it's important to be able to adapt to life, adapt to work, adapt to products and services. Somebody famous once said, if the rate of change outside an organisation is quicker than the rate of change inside the organisation, then the organisation is dying, is decaying. And that's where you'll find most businesses these days. They don't change enough inside the business. The world is fast moving outside the business, and that's why Woolworths and Blockbusters and all of the big department stores that are dying through retail, they're all dying because they're changing at such a slow rate inside their business that the world is passing them by outside their business. So if you're not concentrating on how to keep up with the pace, then you are dying. Whether you believe it or not, you are dying. So, you know, that's the key. It's another key thing to remember, is that you've got to be adapting. As an entrepreneur, you've got to be adapting. As salespeople, you've got to be adapting. As marketeers, you've got to be adapting. Comes back to you don't know what you don't know, and lifelong learning. If you're not learning and adapting and developing with the new trends and the new techniques, you're dying. So that's something else which I think is important in business to make sure you do. Another do of going out and seeing people, like London's a very sort of busy top city, you know, it's one of the top cities of the world. People haven't got time to say hello to you, let alone like spend more than an hour having a meeting with you, etc. You know, people are on rigorous times, etc. But get out of London, get into the rest of the UK, and it's not quite the same, you know. So, you know, you go to Wales, they'll sit there talking to you for 3 hours and make you 10 cups of tea and get their IT department to come and see you and do whatever they need to do, rather than you having to go back and back and back and back. Sometimes you travel a long way, you go to Scotland, you go to Ireland, you go to Northern England, people will give you brews. You can sometimes do what might take you 3 or 4 meetings in London, because you're getting an hour every time. You can sometimes do those 4 hours in one meeting, because you know they've loosely scheduled in for an hour and a half, and it's just carried on, you know. If you're going to go out of London, which I try and encourage people to do, because London, similar to Cardiff in Wales actually, London and Cardiff, they're self-contained cities. There's not a lot of reason to have to go outside them. But there's a much bigger part of the UK than just London. And there's lots of people in those places, in my experience of networking in lots of places, who are looking to do business with everybody. There's lots of Latvians in other parts of the UK looking to do business with London Latvians. So if you don't get out there and meet new people and connect with people, then you're just going to do the same business with the same people and hit some ceilings somewhere along the line. If you're always expanding and looking to do business elsewhere, you're going to get better results, more results, grow your network, grow your customer base, grow your average order value, and continue to prosper, really. So that would be a message of mine as somebody who lives in Wales but travels all over the UK, and have travelled all over the UK, and I've done a lot of networking, and I'm going to start networking across Europe and the world soon, because, you know, I want to continue to expand beyond the UK. But as somebody who's based in Wales, and most of the people in Wales don't do business outside of Wales, it's not a very good exporting country, for example. You know, most of the businesses in Wales do business in Wales, and that's about it. But, you know, a lot of people in London only do business in London, or then other countries around the world from the influence and the influx of people who come to London. But there's plenty of places in the UK, lots of businesses in the UK, all over the UK. Lots of traditional industries in the Midlands, you know, like brewery industries and that. There's lots of high-tech companies, same as London, and financiers and that, in like Manchester and Liverpool and Leeds, Newcastle. There's financial district, and lots of digital companies in Wales and Bristol, the southwest. So, you know, it's important to understand that if you want to grow your business and you want to become UK-wide or international or wherever, obviously you guys should be international, all of you anyway, because you should be doing business with Latvian businesses as well as UK businesses. And, you know, the old USSR countries that are now in Europe and all those countries, you should all be doing business with each other. So you all should be international trading. I don't know whether you are or not, but, you know, actually, by way of show of hands, who does trade internationally in this room? Anyone? So we got one, yeah. So, you know, and just like Helmut was on about doing some networking with the Latvian chamber. That's the official Latvian chamber in Latvia, yeah. But there are businesses in the UK who need things that Latvia's got to offer, and there are businesses in Latvia that need things that the UK has to offer. So you guys should be the middleman, the conduit between those people.
The bridge.
The bridge, yes. I know, for example, I don't know if Latvia is one of these countries, but I do know that Russia is, and quite a few other Eastern European countries. They're good with IT, and lots of UK companies outsource IT there. Now, I've wanted to do that for a long time, but I've never trusted anyone enough. I never sat down with the whites of their eyes and shook somebody's hand and gone, I trust you to do the services I want at the right price and at the right quality. So, you know, I'm one of those people who could be, you know, linked to somebody in Latvia, but I need to traditionally trust them. I can't trust them with a phone or a...
I can introduce you to.
Yeah, well, you know, but there's lots...
software is written in Latvia.
Yeah, and there's lots of people like me, lots of businesses in the UK who will use UK suppliers because they know they want to offshore because there's cost economic benefits of offshoring, but they don't know who to offshore with. And although there are economic benefits, sometimes you've got to weigh up the economic benefits versus the communication and time benefits, you know, so there are challenges, like, you know, and that's where these things have to be overcome. It's like I do web design. I build them myself. I taught myself web design and I build websites myself. And the reason I did that is because I had a web designer who built a website in Flash a long time ago, and it looked lovely, but it wasn't very functional. It didn't work very well. It didn't load. And also, every time I wanted her to make changes, she had issues. She was going through medical problems at the time, but I was a paying customer and I wasn't interested in her medical problems. I was interested in getting my website changed with the content I needed. You know, it sounds harsh, but business is business. I'm not her family. It's not my job to care about her medical condition. It's my job to pay her some money and get her to do a job for me. Otherwise, I can't sell the product. I was selling retail products, and I can't sell them if, you know. So I ended up teaching myself how to update my own website, and then sort of learning how to build websites from there. Then, and it's important to you know. So I actually have learned to build websites for people, and I provide them value they don't even know they're getting, because they don't know until you have a website. So I do websites for startups, for example. Until you have a website, you don't know what the problems are going to come down the line. Okay, but I do. I know what problems you're going to get down the line. So when I provide websites for people, I solve their problems, and whether they know I'm solving their problems or not, I know I'm solving their problems, which means when I tell them how to provide them a great product or a great service, but I don't know anyone else who can provide you the same level of product and service that I can believe that because I know what I'm doing. So it's important when you're marketing to people and when you're selling to people that you've got an edge, you've got a competitive edge, a unique USP, you know, something that makes you stand out, so that you don't have to just be the cheapest, or you don't have to be, you know, the most technical or the highest quality. You know, you can be whatever you can be. You can be whatever you want to be to the customer, and if you can tailor your approach to the customer and speak to them in their language and in the things that they care about, more so than the things you care about, so that adaptability of your approach, then you're going to get more people interested in your product than if you don't adapt your process. So that's sort of some of the sort of culture of the UK in doing business. And then one of the big do's of doing business in the UK as well, I've touched on it. I spoke to Helmut about this, and I touched on it that I used to do this in my corporate sales role. But that's actually building up an affiliate or reseller channel, or an introducer channel. So when I go networking and I meet big businesses, I'm actually not looking for customers. So most people who go to these events, they're either on a jolly or they're looking for customers. I'm actually looking for two things. One is friends. I'm looking for friends because my friends tend to use me over anyone else. So like I'd rather make new friends because they're going to be good customers. But you know, some people say don't mix friendship and business and that, but I'm not one of those people. So I'm looking for friends, and friendship's good. If you meet friends, then business will come your way. So it's just business is a byproduct of friendships in a business community. But the most important people you can meet when you're networking are lead referral partners. They're people who think and see and do how you do. They share a common interest in the same type of business prospects, etc. And they can provide you with leads at the same time as you can provide them with leads. If you can find good lead referral partners, then they're going to give you lots of customers. So is it better to find one customer or lots of customers? Well, lots of customers is better. And on that same principle, when you go networking and you get lead referral partners, you also can actually manage, there's lots of this around in all sorts of sectors, you can manage affiliates, which are people who pass leads to you, or sell to similar people who they can upsell, are you interested in this on the top of their process, and give you a load of leads, or people who are willing to buy your product, white label it, and resell it as their own. So if you can grow those areas in your business, if you think about how I can grow those areas in your business, then you might only have a small team of people employed. You could have a massive team of people who cover the whole of the UK or the whole of the world, and all they're basically doing is passing you leads or selling your product. So if they're resellers, you have to train them up with your product and let them sell it, and you're making the wholesale cost or the wholesale profit sell on that. And if they're affiliates, you just pay them a commission and they're out there. And the best thing about building this sort of network is that it's risk-free. Because if you set up a sort of pay per performance type setup, then you're only paying people if they perform. So there's much less risk than taking on sales guys, paying them a salary, and then if they don't perform, you just a couple of grand out of pocket because they haven't performed, and you know there's a lot more risk in that. So if you want to grow as a business, find people who share a common interest, share a common market. So for example, if you're doing web design, a printer will do leaflets and business cards for a startup business, and I can do their website. So they can pass business to me, I can pass business to them, because we're both dealing with customers at the same time. The best networking partner I found was the first networking partner I found 7 years ago when I went self-employed, and that was the owners of Wales's biggest business network. You know, they recommend me to most of, to their members, like all of their members, and I recommend their members should join, because their members, just like here, are free members first. They get to go to an event for once or twice, and then they have to join. So often, between them being a free member and a paid member, I'm going to see them because I met them at an event, and they ask me, what do I think about the network? And I tell them honestly what I think about the network, and that's a reason why a lot of people will join. Because first recommendation from me is better than my friends who run the network trying to sell them the network. I just tell them honestly what I find about the network, and a lot of people tend to join because of that, because I've been a member for 7 years. Out of 350 members, I probably sold to 75 of them. I've built a couple of businesses in partnership with some of them, and I got like 20 really good friends and 50 associate friends from it. So, I can only tell them good things. And so, but a customer or a brand advocate or a partner or an affiliate or a reseller talking about your business can do a better job of it than you can, because it sounds a bit corny going, I'm great at this, I'm great at that, I'm great at the other, but someone else saying he's really good at this, he's really good at that, it's always going to be better every time. So that's what you should be looking to build up, is when you're networking, when you're at the Latvian Chamber, when you're out there in the world, you should be looking to find people who are going to be brand advocates for you, and you can be brand advocates for them. And that's pretty much, that's, I think, some of the do's and don'ts of doing business in the UK. I was going to say, obviously I've got quite a bit of experience. If any of you've got any questions about doing business in the UK that I haven't covered, then by all means get hands up and we'll see if we can answer some of them. So can anyone think of anything?
It's amazing how you can fit 2 hours speech in 1 hour.
Yeah, well, you know.
Very impressed.
So, number one, show me your LinkedIn. Let us do the thing. Number one, do not lose connection. Show us your LinkedIn app. No. Light it up. The existence of phone doesn't mean that. Did you manage to find nearby people? What? Okay.
So there's something else. I still keep thinking about if there's anything you want to ask about doing business in the UK. And while you're doing that, I might as well get a couple of plugins because I'm fairly new to YouTube marketing. I got a YouTube channel. I do put some sales and marketing tips and advice on there. If anyone wants to listen to any of that content, and Google search hashtag King of Marketing, and you'll find my YouTube channel. I'm new to YouTube. I've been doing this since November, but I'm looking to get more subscribers. So if you want to share that with anyone who's interested in learning some sales and marketing knowledge.
So, a quick one, very quick one for you to, sorry Mike.
That's okay.
So, for Android phones, you can see where is it. Click on this one, on the top, on this one. Yes? Go to the main page in a second. Go to the main page. Go back. Go to the main page. Main page. Okay. And go over there. And now choose. Is that the app?
You got to try making sure your Bluetooth's on first, and as well in the settings. I think different phones have different ways of doing it.
Okay. So, actually, we are behind the time. Let us once again. Let us say thanks to Mike. Now the next one. Now we are having physically like 2 or 3 minutes of break.